So while they're cooling and baking, we're just going to have a close-up on the high heel. So this is one of the legs that broke when it fell in the oven. So I'm just going to show you how to do the high heel. So I'm just going to mark where I want the high heel to end, and it's pretty much the same deal. I have a lid here, plastic lid with some liquid Sculpey, and I have some Sculpey 3 in the color white off to the side here that I'm going to be working with. And you're just going to coat the side area of the foot, which I've already scraped and sanded down so it's a little bit more square than a foot. It's going to look more like a shoe. And you're just going to put the liquid Sculpey on the side so that the white clay will stick. And when you first put it on, it's going to look kind of clunky, kind of big and clunky. I don't think I have enough liquid Sculpey on the front here. I think I need a little more. Yeah. I might need a little bit more in the clay too. This clay might have been sitting here for a while. And make it a little more sticky. Alright. Oh, that's better. Alright, now I have a little water that I squirted on the side here too, because I find that the water helps it smooth better. Okay, so as I was starting to say, it does look a little clunky when it goes on, but as you smooth it around, it's going to get a little bit more realistic looking, and it'll look much, much better after it's baked and sanded. So the thing that you want to focus on most when you're making the high heels at this point is the top area of the shoe, like the shoe line itself against the foot. And you'll see as I'm smoothing it that I'm always realigning that top area, because that's the one area that you're sort of not going to be able to fix after you bake it. Everything else you'll be able to sand down so it looks very smooth and realistic. Okay, and then the next part of it will be building up the heel. Nothing is difficult, it just takes time and some patience. Okay. So once you smooth this down on the wooden skewer, you'll notice that it doesn't cling that well. So at some point you're going to have to use the warmth of your fingers to press it in there against the wood. And that works. Okay, and then I'm going to compare them, and I see one is more round than the other, so I'm going to round out the front of this shoe so that they both look the same. And this is what I was talking about earlier. This upper area, you want to be as straight as you can get it. All around the shoe. As you can see, it just takes a little bit of time to get it pretty much just right. Okay, and at this point we'll talk a little bit about the skirt pattern. The DVD comes with the skirt pattern. It's probably bigger than what you need. You're going to cut it on the fold here, and it's going to just have a little curve for the waist. I usually cut it out in a muslin so that I could check it for size and length. Just baste it up about 3/4 of the way and leave it open so you can get it on the doll, and then you can try it on her and make sure that it fits. This design has sort of a false trail in the back. The back is a little bit longer than the front so that it looks like it has a trail, and I'm just going to use one of this broken doll as a model while the other ones are finishing up in the oven and everything. Okay, and this is a good length. It has a little bit of leeway for the hem, but I think this is going to work, and it has just enough in the waist area to gather. Okay, so now that the doll is out of the oven, I'm just going to try it on her to see if it's if the opening is big enough to get around her legs, and also how it looks on the base. It looks like it is going to be big enough. And now I have to figure out where I'm going to put the hole for her to stand in. So you just place her on the base, and then just reach underneath with a pen or a marker and just put a spot where that skewer comes down. And then, taking my little drill bit tool that I've made, I'm just going to skewer in a tiny little pilot hole. I like to go about 3/4 of the way through the wood. I prefer to do this by hand, which is why I made this little tool, by putting a little junk clay on the end of it and baking it in the oven. And then once I have this pilot hole drilled in here, I'm going to take my next tool, which is slightly bigger than this one, and it's about the size that fits the bamboo skewers that I use. And so I'm just going to drill this hole just a little bit bigger, and then I'll have the actual base that I'm going to use. Okay, so the doll is all done now. She's been painted, her stockings, her shoes, her makeup, her hair's done, the base has been painted and felted. A little dirty there on my table here. Oh well, the show must go on. I have to move on. Okay. And I've already made up the little skirt in the silky fabric. She's going to be standing up a little bit straighter when she's glued in, but this will work for now. There's a video on painting the stockings if you're interested. It's on YouTube. Okay, I'm going to use my regular holding station here. Okay, so this is the skirt in the silky material. I've stitched up the back hem 3/4 of the way, and I've done a little basting stitch around the waist so that I can gather it on her. Okay, I just want to see about the bottom, the hem. Okay, so it looks like it's just a tiny bit too long. Maybe probably about 1/4 of an inch, which is what I'm going to need to do a hem anyway. So I think this length is going to work. So I'm just going to check the back here. See if it's long enough. Yeah. Okay, and then yeah, that's going to work. So what I'm going to do is this is the bridal lace I got. I got this at Joann Fabrics, and I'm going to use part of it as an applique on the skirt and part of it as the bodice to the dress. I'm going to use the Wunder Under to apply the appliques. And I have some other edgings and lace that I might use. I'm going to see how it all develops. Here's some edging I got. These edgings and lace I think I got at Walmart fabric section. So here's the doll. She's all done. Just give you a look at her before I put her aside. Alright. Okay, so here's the skirt, and I've decided to put this lace at the bottom instead of doing a rolled hem. So now, knowing that I'm going to be cutting away about 1/4 of an inch, what I'm going to do is just pin on the lace all around the base of the skirt, and then I'm going to stitch it on my sewing machine using a straight stitch. And then once it's straight stitched on, I'm going to go around and cut away the fabric up to that stitching point. And so I've just off camera pinned it the rest of the way. And so I'm all the way around, and I'm just going to leave about a good ½ inch extra so I can fold it over and hide any raw edge. Okay, so at this point I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew this on, and then I'm going to clip away all of the material and just show you the last part of the clipping, just so you see it. I'm going to use a straight stitch right now. Okay, so I'm all done stitching it, and I've clipped away all but this last little bit. You have to be very careful with this. You only want to take a little nibble at a time, just maybe 3/4 of an inch, to make sure that you're pulling away both sides of the fabric, because you only want to clip away the extra hem part. So very gingerly, I'm going to go around and snip this last little bit. And then once I get this off, I'm going to go back to the sewing machine, and I'm going to zigzag this lace on that raw edge, so it's going to be completely hidden. It's going to look like one unit. And then I'm going to use stitch witchery, which is little pieces of like glued interfacing, and you go around with your iron, and I'm going to use that on the top of this lace because it needs to be laid down a little bit. Okay. So here's the skirt. I'm going to stitch it, and you can see this part of the top part needs to be laid down. I'm going to use the stitch witchery on that, and then I'm going to applique using under like an iron-on, and this is where I'm going to zigzag right here. Okay, so I've done all of that. The applique came out very nice. And the stitch witchery worked very well to lay down the lace. Very happy with the way it came out. Okay. You can see that it looks much better there. And here's where I zigzagged it all around, so it's nice and clean. Okay, so now it's time to, I put some pearls around her updo, just to dress her up a little bit, and some pearls around her neck. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the ones around her neck, but I wanted to put them on before I start in with the fabric, because it'd be kind of messy. Okay, so put this on her, and then get the you have to be very careful at this point, because although she's finished baking, she is still very delicate. You know, they're very delicate dolls, the polymer clay dolls. They're like porcelain. You have to be very careful of them. But don't apply too much pressure. But I'm going to gather these 2 threads and then tie them in the back. And then I'll have one last little section in the back here that will be open. And that part, off camera, I'm going to whip stitch so that it's closed. And then once I tie this gathered thread, you're just going to evenly distribute the little gather at the waist, which is not too much. It's just enough. Okay. Alright. So here's the area back here that I'm going to fold over and whip stitch right here. Okay. And it fits, it'll close very nicely here. So that I'm going to do off camera. And off camera I'm also going to put a few little dots of glue around the waist. Alright, so I finished the whip stitching. Came out very nice. It's nice and flat. And I did put a few little dots of glue, which I'll demonstrate now. I'm using E600 and that goop glue. I have my glue gun here, but I only use that if I need to. It's too messy and I usually burn myself. Okay. Now, I have another base that I've decided to use in the other room drying, because this one I decided is too big. It's not a good shape for the way the dress came out. So here's a piece of the ribbon that I've used some fray check on the sides to prevent them from fraying. I've already measured it, so I know it's going to fit around the waist. So what I'm going to do is put it on and glue it in the front. Because the front is going to be covered with a bodice piece and the back is going to be open, so I'm going to have the folded part in the front. I'm going to start using this E600. Okay. See if this holds here. My favorite glue is called Stick and Fix, but I don't have any of that today, so I'm using some of these other glues I have. I need one that's going to hold though. But I don't know if this is holding. No. Alright, let me try this other one, the goop glue. I better plug in this glue gun. And let's try this. Let's try the goop glue. I like it that they have these tiny little tubes. Let's see here. Alright, I think this holds much better. Yeah, the goop glue holds better. Alright. And so this is the bodice piece. It's just going to fit right over the breasts. So I'm going to see where I need to put the glue. Let me just make sure I put it in the right place. Alright. Use the goop glue because we know that one works better. Okay. So you just hold it for a second or two, make sure it's on there. Okay. And then I'm going to put one more dab of glue right in the center of the top to push it in onto the breast so it looks like it's form-fitted. Now, I originally was going to put sleeves on this doll, but I think I like her without the sleeves. I think I like her much better without the sleeves. So, once my other base is done, then she'll be done. Alright, I'm just going to put one more dab of glue on these pearls. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to let her dry as I let the base dry, and then she'll be ready for her final debut. Okay, so here's the new base. It's painted and felted, and I have the holding hole drilled into it. And her bouquet is ready, and she's done. I'm very happy with the way the skirt came out with the applique. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the project, and I hope if you make some bridal dolls yourself that you'll share them with me. I'd really love to see them. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you really enjoyed it.